Today, I want to walk you through some brand new research from the Bank of Canada, and honestly, it could hit home for a lot of us. The big question we're answering today is this: how much more will Canadians pay when their mortgage renews in 2025 and 2026? And more importantly, what does this mean for you here in Moncton? And no, this isn't clickbait. According to the Bank of Canada's July 2025 staff note, more than half of Canadian mortgage holders are about to see their payments change. Many of them, well, they're going to go up. For some households, the difference could be hundreds of dollars more every single month. Let me break down the numbers. About 60% of all outstanding mortgages in Canada will be renewing during this 2 year window, between now and the end of 2026. That is the majority of households with mortgages in Canada. And it makes this the single biggest renewal cycle in Canadian history. Here's what the bank's researchers are projecting. If you are in a fixed rate mortgage and you renew in 2025, your monthly payment will likely jump by around 10% compared to December 2024. And in 2026, the increase is a little lighter, closer to 6%, but that still means that you are paying more. So here's the kicker. Some households that locked into ultra low fixed rates back in 2020 and 2021, when money was practically free, could see increases as high as 15 to 20%. Imagine paying $2,000 a month today and then suddenly being asked to pay $2,400. That's a serious shift for any family's budget. On the other hand, there's a bit of good news for those with variable rate mortgages. Their payments are projected to be 5 to 7% lower by 2026, and that's because most of the rate hikes have already been priced into their product. And as policy rates begin to normalize, variable borrowers may actually see some relief. So, the big picture is clear. If you're renewing your mortgage in the next year or two, the odds are your payments will be going up. But the why behind these changes is just as important. And that's what I want to break down next. At the heart of this issue is how mortgages are priced in Canada. Fixed rate mortgages are closely tied to the Government of Canada bond yields. When bond yields rise, so do fixed rate mortgages. And right now, those yields are slightly elevated compared to pre pandemic years. The Bank of Canada study used something called the RESL2 dataset. That's a fancy term, but what it means is that they now have much more accurate household level data on outstanding mortgages, balances, and payment sizes. This allows them to project renewal impacts with more confidence than they did before. The researchers concluded that overall, Canadians are resilient. Most households were stress tested when they first qualified for their mortgages at rates higher than they were actually paying. And on top of that, wages and incomes have been trending upwards slightly, which gives many families a little bit of extra breathing room to absorb some of these higher payments that are on the way. But that doesn't mean that everyone will be fine. For households that are already stretched, maybe juggling car loans or high daycare costs, rising grocery bills, even a 10% increase in the mortgage can force some tough choices. And here in Moncton, I've already spoken to families who are cutting back on travel, dining out, and delaying renovations just to prepare. National price indexes are showing a bit of softness. Prices are down about 0.8% month to month and about 2.6% year over year across Canada. But in certain regions like Halifax and Ottawa, prices are still climbing. And for Moncton, the trend is somewhat in between, steady with slightward momentum thanks to a strong demand and relatively limited supply. Up some real tension. On one hand, mortgage payments are rising, and on the other hand, demand for homes in Atlantic Canada remains strong. Because compared to Ontario and British Columbia, our affordability is still much better. A detached home here in Moncton looks like a bargain compared to buyers that are relocating from Toronto or Vancouver. And looking forward, analysts like CBRE are predicting that the Bank of Canada will continue to ease interest rates back into their neutral range through late 2025. If that happens, it will provide some relief on new borrowing and renewals. But here's the nuance. Even if rates decline from here, they're unlikely to fall way back to those rock bottom pandemic levels. We are talking about the new normal here. So the key takeaway is this: prepare for higher payments, but also recognize that Atlantic Canada's market fundamentals remain strong. So, practical. What can you do if your mortgage renewal is coming up in the next 2 years? First, shop around. Don't just sign the renewal offer that the bank sends you in the mail. Pick up the phone, send a few emails. Half different in interest rate could save you thousands of dollars over the life of your mortgage. Second, if you're in a variable rate mortgage, talk to your lender about what your options might look like. Switching to a fixed term might offer peace of mind if you're worried about rate volatility. On the other hand, if you can handle short term uncertainty, staying variable could actually save you money as rates ease. Third, look at your household budget today and not tomorrow. Build in a buffer by cutting some discretionary expenses or setting aside a contingency fund. Even the Bank of Canada report says most Canadians will adapt. But preparation, it's everything. Fourth, consider locking in early if rates start creeping any higher again. Some lenders will allow you to secure a rate several months before your renewal. That flexibility could be your best friend if markets turn. And finally, for buyers and sellers here in Moncton, remember that we are in a somewhat balanced market. Sellers still do have leverage because of the steady demand of homes, and buyers still have opportunities because our homes remain affordable compared to much of the rest of the country. Rising payments don't mean the end of opportunity, they mean that you need a plan. So here's the bottom line: the next 2 years will be challenging, but not impossible. By staying informed, by planning ahead, and making smart decisions, you can protect yourself and your family. And if you need help navigating these waters, whether you're renewing or buying or selling, please reach out. I have a full list of contacts that will help you make sure that you have the most information for your situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.